Hello and welcome. We are at episode 8 of the Sell Smarter, Sell Faster livecast. I'm your host, Dani Buckley, joined here with Shay Smith, our producer. Hey, Shay.
Hey, Dani. How's it going today?
It's good. I feel excited for this episode and also a little bittersweet because it's the last episode of season 1. And I can't
how
believe
are
it
we here? How are we here already? I don't know. It did flew by. So crazy.
Yeah. It did, but we've covered so many awesome topics, and I'm already excited about what we have planned for season 2. We'll be starting back up in a few weeks. I always like to remind everyone, be sure you're subscribed because you'll know when we're back live with these again. And, just as a reminder, let us know where you're watching from. We always love to see that in the comments. And we are the Sell Smarter, Sell Faster livecast. We're here to bring, fresh insights, real world examples, best practices that are ultimately centered around how to boost your sales performance and help your salespeople. You know it, sell smarter and sell faster. That's the name of the game. And we're powered by Lead G2. We're a sales performance agency that specializes in inbound marketing and sales enablement strategies and tactics. So that's us. That's who we are. Definitely visit the link below, sellsmartersellfaster.com. And Shay, remind them how they can subscribe and stay in the know with everything.
Yeah. So on this URL, sellsmartersellfaster.com, we have previous episodes linked there. We've got additional resources on all those topics. So if you've seen a topic in one of the episodes that you'd like to learn more on, it is a plethora, if that's a good word, of resources there on our blog. There's links to all those topics there. Also on YouTube, if you're not subscribed, make sure you go to youtube.com/leadg2. You'll see there all of our past episodes from season 1. Make sure you click subscribe and hit the bell to turn on the notifications. That way, when we schedule future episodes or we're live in the future or we share new content there, you will be notified. You don't want to miss out. Also, we would love to connect with you. So if you are already connected in both our website and our YouTube, you can also connect with Dani here on LinkedIn or Twitter. She loves these topics. She truly is passionate about them. And I know firsthand because I get to talk to her and hear her speak about these daily. And then also, I'd love to connect too. I'm here on LinkedIn and Twitter as well. So Dani, I think that's all I've got. I'm excited to hear from Elissa, who's joining us today. She is the Director of Sales at the Center for Sales Strategy, also Lead G2 and Up Your Culture. And y'all are going to be talking about how to make your CRM work for you and your sales team. And I want to emphasize the for, because you got to make it work for you. So yeah, Dani, take it away.
Totally. So just kind of quick, this is a topic that comes up a lot, both at the Center for Sales Strategy side of our business, for those that are familiar, and at Lead G2. And, there's a lot of things that we hear quite often when the topic of CRM comes up, right? We hear things like, we've had bad experiences with CRM in the past, either at the company or personally, a sales manager, like, wow, I had a nightmare rollout, 10 years ago, and I've been scarred ever since. We also hear that we know we need one, but we aren't sure what we need. And it just feels like a big commitment. We hear we have one, but we're not really using it. Other versions of that are often things like our salespeople don't really use it the way we should, or it's not really up to date. It's not super reliable. Or we hate our CRM. We hear that a lot. We've had it forever. Nobody uses it right. We don't even, we kind of forget about it. Or we love our CRM. This is often sales leaders, but our salespeople hate it, and we're always having to nag them to update it. So those are some of the common things that we hear and that we want to kind of address a little bit today, because ultimately CRM is only doing its job if it's working for you, the business leader, the sales manager, and for your salespeople. It's got to be both. And if it's not, then you're not going to get what you want out of it. You're not going to get what you need out of it. And you're definitely not going to have people using it the way they should be. So why do you need a CRM? I like to remind us of this as we go into this conversation, just to level the playing field so we're all on the same page. You need to have accurate and up-to-date data for forecasting, planning, budgeting. We know all that. You want to have transparency and ownership, right, over the prospect and customer database. This is really important. There's a lot of industries that we work with. Media is one that comes to mind, where sometimes, if a salesperson leaves, you might not have, access to all of their contacts and who they've, those are your contacts. That is your database. And it might leave with the salesperson. And that's really not how, a sales organization is typically set up. These are your contacts. So a CRM should really help with that, making sure that's all in there. having up-to-date database, like for other communication, right? To be able to communicate with clients and prospects, maybe for marketing campaigns, things like that. Having visibility into your pipeline and your salespeople's specific activity. That's a key benefit. And needing information that will help you, the manager, better coach and mentor and support your salespeople. So those are just some of the things, right? And if you're not getting all of that out of your CRM, then you need to evaluate it. You need to evaluate, is this the right one? Or maybe even more importantly, are we just set up? Are we trained right? Do we have the right processes in place? So the last thing I want to touch on before, and I know I'm talking a lot here, but again, it's a topic we hear about a lot. But before we bring Elissa in, is just what it matters to salespeople, right? What really keeps them from using a CRM? And this is the stuff that we hear. Kind of maybe think right now, take a moment and say, does this resonate? Is this stuff we're hearing? And this might help you find some red flags of things to address. So we often hear it's a time suck. It's not helping me be faster. It's not helping me be more efficient. It's not actually helping me sell smarter and faster. They may not use those words, but things like that would be, this takes too much of my time. This is too clunky. This technology is hard to learn. I have to log in and log out. I can't find what I'm looking for. Things like that are really sure signs that it's not working for them. And then also just that they might be feeling like they're micromanaged. They might feel like the only purpose of this is for their sales manager to see everything they're doing, and that doesn't feel good or helpful. So those are some of the big things to look for and listen for from your salespeople that you can address. So that's what I wanted to kind of start us with, Shay. And I know that Elissa comes with a lot of insight around this, both from her career in sales and also now as a director of sales, being an agency owner. I mean, there's a lot of experience that she's had in different roles where the CRM plays, has an impact. So I'll let you introduce her and we'll bring her in.
Yeah, I'm going to give you a little background on Elissa. Elissa Nauful is the Director of Sales at the Center for Sales Strategy, which is also the parent company of Lead G2 and Up Your Culture. She started her career in broadcast television and has worked in linear, digital, and social media. Her true passion is delivering valuable solutions to clients, and she is passionate about working with leaders seeking answers to the biggest problems in business today: how to drive revenue and awareness. She's a solutions-based creative thinker, and sales is in her DNA. Her favorite conversations center around what and why, and she loves to challenge herself to grow her mind and experiences. Elissa is an avid fly fisher and loves every form of art, food from around the world, and wine. She enjoys spending her free time experiencing live music, laughter, and wonderful people. And I'm going to bring her in. Hello, Elissa. How are you?
Hi, everybody.
Welcome. I've enjoyed working with you, and I'm excited to hear your insight on this topic. There's Dani. So I'm going to jump out here and go backstage, and I can't wait to hear what you have to say.
Thanks, Shay. Hi, Elissa. Always a pleasure.
How are you?
Good. I know we work together every day, but this is a nice, fun way to connect, and I'm excited to hear what you have to say. It's a topic we talk about a lot, but I think some of these questions are new and ones that we haven't dug into a lot as much. So ready to jump in?
I am.
Great. Okay. So just to set the stage, tell the audience a little bit about your own experience using a CRM over the years, kind of what that's looked like for you.
Well, when I started in television a long time ago, our CRM was a notebook and a stack of call sheets that we physically wrote down everything that we did. It was sort of a summary of proof of performance that we were actually selling. And so that was my first CRM. But over the years, as things got more digital, I've used Soho, I've used HubSpot a good bit, Salesforce, Microsoft products to a certain extent. So I've used a lot of different CRMs, and I've seen a tremendous adoption and a resistance in both sales managers and salespeople. So it's a wonderful topic to talk about, because in this day and age, technology is the defining factor between success and not success in the sales world.
Yep. I could not agree more. So I remember those days when I first sold radio. We didn't have a CRM, and it was like the manila folder. You hand it off, when we do like an account rotation. Here you go. Good luck.
Exactly.
Yeah. So in my opening, I touched on some of the top objections or kind of issues that we hear. But I'd love to know what you think are the biggest current issues happening around CRM.
I think that when I think about from a sales process, I think the sales managers, and this may come off as really negative, but I think it's true. And you alluded to it, they're weaponizing the CRM. So they're using it as a management tool to micromanage their salespeople, as opposed to using it as a resource to forecast accurately, to address situations if salespeople aren't performing at the level they think they should be performing at. I think that there is not constant learning with sales managers. So when you adopt a CRM, the technology evolves constantly. And so learning how to grow with the software and technology is really important. So I think how sales managers are using it is important. I think on the salesperson side, salespeople who want to be successful today have got to have an organized, disciplined system to sell. And CRMs are the starting point to not only ensure past conversations you've had with clients, but it also provides a tremendous amount of insight into what that customer is doing when you communicate with them. You know, we're not knocking on doors anymore, opening doors and going into people's offices or buildings because of COVID. It's really changed the way we do business. Yeah. And so to have insight and intelligence into that digital communication on what people are doing at a 10-foot level versus a 30,000-foot level is incredible. And I just think that if salespeople understood how much it could help them in the sales process, there wouldn't be that resistance. But it's also sales managers' responsibility to not use it in a way that is demotivating.
Yeah, I love that. Weaponizing the CRM. I see that a lot. Yeah. And yeah, that's an issue. So I want to touch on a couple different areas that I know people have questions around. So like both choosing a CRM, rolling it out, getting it utilized. So let's start with choosing a CRM. What do you think are some of the top mistakes leaders make when it comes to choosing a CRM, or what are some of the things they should be thinking about?
I think the first mistake is that you have your technology team, your IT team, that are the ones deploying your CRM, right? They're the ones that are technically making it work a lot of times. And there are not always conversations and clear communication about what you want the CRM to do, how you want it to work, how it scales with your current organization, how tech savvy are the people that are using it on a day-to-day basis. And so I think that a lot of organizations say we need a CRM and they jump headfirst into it, either on the sales side or the IT side of it. And they're not really taking a step back to say strategically, how do we want to use this in our organization? And how can it make our organization better? So I think that's one of the biggest obstacles and challenges in organizations is they don't stop and think, what do we want this to do and how can it scale with our business? And so lack of planning is a number one challenge I see. The other challenge is what we've talked about, which is how are we going to use it and measure it on a day-to-day basis? What do we want it to do? What functionality does it have? How much money are we going to have to invest to make sure that this technology works with our systems? Because there are some CRMs where you pay the base cost for the CRM and then companies spend millions and millions of dollars customizing it for their needs. And that financially may not make sense. And so now an organization's made a substantial financial investment in a tool and they don't have adoption. So they're not training people on why they need to use it. They're talking about the what and not the why. And I think that's a big adoption challenge in organizations.
Yeah. And that kind of goes into the follow-up question. So you're talking about adoption. So what about like when it comes to actually rolling it out and getting it utilized? Any other big things that stand out that people kind of screw up or forget?
So a strategy and a plan first is critical. And that sort of seems like a no-brainer. But when you're talking about a technical integration, you really have to figure out where are we now? How are we using things? And how can we make the transition from A to B more gentle? Because everyone's resistant. Everyone's been through a technology transition. And a lot of people don't have great experiences with that. And so I think just knowing what you're getting into, first of all. I think having the right people help you do it is also critical. One of the most important things is sometimes you don't need to learn how to do something. You need to hire somebody who's a professional to do it for you. It's going to save you money, time, frustration. And I see that a lot where people say, well, I can do it myself. And my response is, why wouldn't you pay someone to shorten the time, shorten the cost, shorten all of these challenges that you have when you're implementing something so technical? So I think that's important. And I also think training is one of the most critical things. And training, not just one time, constant training, making sure that you're growing with the software, making sure that the initial training and what your salespeople or your sales manager are learning and using evolves over time, because CRMs and tech is always growing and always evolving. And so what's true today may not be true tomorrow. And I think that one of the biggest challenges is that people don't want to take the time to learn how to use the tools.
Yeah. So there's some big tips in there. So having an actual plan really in place, and a plan that's not just kind of like, we're going to do this on these dates, but really customizing it to your team, is what I kind of heard you say, and knowing your team, knowing their needs and their obstacles. I've even seen a company survey their salespeople and anyone kind of in the sales before they ever chose a CRM. Then they surveyed with different questions, and then surveyed them before they started training to like get a feel for how are people feeling around this. Are they excited? Are they nervous? Are they annoyed? What's their technology, experience and comfort level. And I thought that was really brilliant thing to do.
Yeah, I agree. I mean, I think that you have to know your audience, right? And
Yeah.
everyone's, no salesperson wants to be controlled or managed, and you have to trust your salespeople. So the other thought to that is that if you trust your salespeople, this is sort of a trust and verify situation, right? You can trust them, but you can also verify that you know what's happening. But getting a benchmark for the people that are actual users is, I think, critical. It's so important. You want buy-in.
Yeah, totally. And it's funny because I'm thinking about it now, and it kind of also adds that idea of surveying in some form, whether it's done, anonymously or just having conversations, also ties into a big thing that you've touched on a little bit is getting that buy-in, right? Like getting them to feel like they're part of the process and this isn't something just being forced on them. So yeah, a lot of benefits to that. So talking about, choosing a CRM or even just evaluating your current CRM, because not everyone's it's not always easy just to switch it up, right? What do you think are the key tools and capabilities that a CRM today in 2021, going into 2022, right around the corner, should have in order to truly benefit the sales process?
You have to have contact management, number one. You have to have accurate records of contacts, who you're contacting. That's your database. And again, I know we've said it twice, but if you have a salesperson that leaves and walks out the door, the contacts are the company's ownership, not the salesperson. And so to not know who's who or what's what is a terrible business position to be put in. So contact management, number one, making sure that contact is clean. I think that automation is critical. So really good workflows, if this, then that happens, is incredibly important in a CRM. I think a CRM has to be customizable to your sales process and your system and how you sell and work and manage. And so I think that's important. It has to have good integrations. It has to integrate with if you've got contacts or lists or any other tools, it's got to have a really strong integration system. And then for me, ease of use. It can't be so complicated to use and manage and maneuver that people can't use it on the go. So if I'm on my phone or if I'm traveling and I want to put something in the CRM, I need to have a mobile access to do that. And that's really important for sales.
Yeah.
And then as a manager, I want reporting, and I want really good, quick, up-to-date reporting. So I know all the activity that's happening. I know where deals are in the pipeline. I can really track it. So those for me are really the critical cornerstones for what a CRM has to have.
Yeah. And I know a big thing that we've talked about too, is really like, and this ties a little bit into the automation piece, but having a sales enablement aspect to these tools too, right? Like, does this, and this could be an integration with another third-party tool, or it could be that your CRM actually has that functionality of, tracking and logging emails and being able to use email templates and automating, even, we call them sequences in HubSpot, but whatever that might be, automating email communication and steps in the sales process, still in a personalized way. I know those are other big things to kind of look out for and think about, right?
I think that having a system in place where you can automate to a certain extent a conversation that you're having with someone, but still personalize it is so important. If you're a seller and you're selling via email, which a lot of us do now in Zoom, we're kind of saying the same thing in different ways to clients. And so having a lot of that already written or thought out or edited so that you can pull some of that in and then customize it for a client saves a tremendous amount of time. On the other side, just like you said, I want to know what the customer's doing when they get my email. Are they ignoring it? Are they opening it 5 times? Are they opening it 2:00 in the morning? I want to know what the prospect is doing, because that gives me a ton of intelligence about how I need to sell to them.
Yep, absolutely. So when we're talking about the salespeople, I know that this comes up a lot too. And it's a very specific question, but we all have seen and have those more veteran, been in the business a long time. Maybe they're even, and I don't want to, make an assumption because this is not always true, but sometimes those folks can be a little bit less tech savvy, or maybe just more, they've been through it. They've been through 10 CRM rollouts, right? They're like just less inclined to be excited and eager, as maybe someone who's newer on the job. It's really common that we have that issue. So do you have any tips for training those folks and really getting them to actually use the CRM and really use it to their benefit?
So I think that any organization has got to focus on the why it benefits them. So what we're doing, but why we're doing it. And I have been selling a long time, and anything that can help me close a deal quicker or not waste my time or get more insight is really valuable to me. And I think that veteran salespeople are in that category. But I don't think it's tech adoption, because if you look at veterans or people that have been around a long time, we all have smartphones, we all have smart TVs. We all are using technology, and we're using technology for a lot of other things. And so a lot of times it's just resistance because people are stubborn and don't really see the benefit in it, or they don't want to be micromanaged, right?
Yeah.
And so I think that you have to talk about the why, you have to talk about the benefit. And then as managers, you have to hold people accountable for what your expectations are. Sometimes it's not clear what you want people to do. You can't just say use the CRM. Well, how do you want me to use it? What do you want me to log? What don't you want me to log? Do I have support to do that?
Are you actually going to hold me accountable for it? Because they'll catch on to that real quick.
Exactly. And so I also think that the interaction between the manager and the salesperson, regardless of how long they've been around, makes the difference between a successful implementation of CRM and not. Because I would bet that the organizations that don't have successful salesperson adoption have managers that aren't using it in a way that's helping the entire organization lift up. They're only using it for putting their finger down on people, and that's not a great way to manage.
Yeah, it really, really, really does start from the top.
Absolutely.
If like top leadership is not selling it to managers in the right way, and if managers are not selling it, I mean, this is something that has to be sold, right? Like you have, just like you're selling a prospect, you have to give them the benefits. You have to understand the obstacles they have, the objections. You have to address those. And you also need, I think, really key thing is give them real world examples like you just touched on. Show them how this is going to help this specific person in the kind of business they do. Give them a real world example. When there's wins of using this technology, show them that.
There's so many wins, Dani. Yeah. When I think about, salespeople think they remember everything, right? Well, I mean, as we deal with more clients and more prospects, you can't remember, like, when was the last time I talked to them? Or they asked me a question, but I can't remember what it is. Or let's say I have to be out for 2 weeks because something happened or I'm on vacation. If I want somebody to pick up and help me through the sales process, if I know a client's going to close a deal and I'm going to be out of town, I really want my sales manager to be able to get in there and communicate with them seamlessly, right?
Yeah.
And there's so many benefits to having a tool that gives you so much intelligence. And it's also a good reminder, like, you forget to do stuff. You can't use paper lists anymore. And a CRM that, I love ours because it allows you to task things out and remind yourself about things. Just really important.
Yeah. Yep. Totally. So, we talked about a lot, and we could probably talk about this for hours. I know you and I, and we do often. But to kind of close this out, what other tips or best practices that we did not touch on that you would give to a sales organization to really get the most out of CRM? Anything we missed? Anything you want to just highlight again?
I think a CRM is not going to fix a broken sales process and system. So I think that a CRM is a tool, and your salespeople have to be trained properly. Your salespeople have to know how to take people through a sales process in a way that's repeatable and meaningful. I think that salespeople have to be able to provide valid business reasons for why clients want to do business with them. And so if you don't have those foundational sales skills, a CRM is never going to make you sell more. It may change the process a little bit. I think that you can't ever stop learning. So I think that you have to adopt a philosophy in an organization of that technology is here to help us and it's going to evolve. So what was one day is not going to be the same thing the next day. And then I also think that if organizations and salespeople and sales managers can get into a thought of realizing that all of this data, all of this information that you have access to at your fingertips now will absolutely help you determine what buckets of business to go after and what to not waste your time on. That in itself just reduces frustration and time. There are just so many benefits to having a technology, and there's so much information in those CRMs. So
Yes.
it's a no-brainer for me. You can't do business today in a world where you don't have intelligence.
Yep. Well, this is great. I know you and I agree that, CRMs can be really helpful for both leadership and for salespeople. And you just have to approach it with a plan, with buy-in, and really customize it to your team and your needs. So thanks for your thoughtful insights today, Elissa. This was really interesting topic. And I know we've got your information here for people to connect with Elissa on LinkedIn. I know she's just like me. She loves talking about this stuff. So don't be shy. Reach out to her, connect with her. And thanks for joining me today. This was really fun.
Thanks for having me, Dani. Thank you.
Bye.
Thank you. That was an awesome conversation. I love hearing about CRM and, how to use it and the benefits and how it can really be beneficial for you and your team. So thanks, Dani. That was great. Let me take this off right here. As a reminder, if you joined us, after we had gotten started, we would love for you to connect with us at sellsmarter.sellfaster.com. This is our last episode of season 1. So if you missed, I know it's so crazy, episode 8. So if you missed any of the previous episodes or you want to go back and rewatch a topic, we've got them all linked there or on our YouTube page, YouTube channel page, same thing, youtube.com/LeeG2. And I think that's the main stuff. If you'd like to connect with Dani, I'm going to put her connect info right here. She's on LinkedIn and Twitter, and she loves talking about these. And I would love to connect with you as well on LinkedIn or Twitter. And I think that's all I have for today. We will be back in a few weeks. Dani, do you have anything else before we close out our last episode of season 1?
This was fun. Definitely connect with me if you haven't already. And if you have ideas for topics you want us to cover, we'd love to hear that. Get in touch. And thanks, Shay. Have a great day, everybody.
Thank you. All right. We'll see you in a few weeks.